Welcome to an episode of Chat Sports Talk, and welcome to the 2023 College Football Week 8 preview and prediction video. That's right, we're up to Week 8. Soon, I will be releasing my version of the polls. I'll probably do that next week, so it probably means I will actually do a recap. I've been lacking that department for the past couple weeks. Other things I've kind of dictated, try to not do that. In terms of last week, I actually did quite well. I actually rebounded from Week 6 fiasco of 5-7 and going 8-4. There's definitely a couple games in there that I did not see go that way. That USC Notre Dame game, I picked USC because I don't know, something about Notre Dame didn't quite drive with me with their defense in this show the last few weeks. Boy, they corrected that shit quick, fast, in a hurry. They definitely proved that USC is not going to be a dominant team, but it could be just a bad week for USC, and that seems to be a predominant theme sometimes with these schools that are up so high that they have 1 week and they stumble, and when they stumble, they stumble. So definitely see Notre Dame beating USC the way they did. I thought they had a puncher's chance, but I went with USC anyways because I think it was a safer bet. But, in the end, it doesn't even matter. In terms of Miami, North Carolina defense is no joke. Van Dyke had no time to make any attempts at passing whatsoever. Derek May was proven he's one of the top elite quarterbacks coming up in next year's draft. Mizzou going to Lexington. I didn't see Mizzou winning in Kentucky. I did not see that happening. Tip my hat to Mizzou on that one. And then Oklahoma State up in the Kansas run. So there's a few surprises, not to mention Stanford's come from behind victory to beat Colorado. All the hype for Colorado at the beginning of the season after they outdueled TCU. How quickly the tables have turned against the Buffs. But you got to think, this is a successful year for Colorado. Last year, they only had 1 win. Now they have 3. So anything else is just extra. This is something that Coach Sanders can build upon and just kind of go from there, try to revitalize this program as it returns to the Big 12 next season. But enough of that. The reason why you're here, besides listening to my lovely, lovely voice and staring at my beautiful face, is to hear my lame duck excuses of picks for this upcoming week. I normally pick 12 games. I continue to pick 12 games. 12 games I find interesting, so I don't do them all. There's a lot of heavy-hitting games coming up that have a lot of implications in conference standings and playoff pecking order. Yes, we're already talking about the playoff pecking order already, and there's a lot of huge matchups coming up. I mean, the Notre Dame game against Ohio State and USC should help them, but a 2-loss team in the playoffs may not happen. But Notre Dame has some credibility in that aspect. But let's go ahead and kick this off in Columbus, Ohio, where you have a huge showdown between ranked opponents when Penn State comes to town to take on the Buckeyes. This is going to be huge because these two are coming in here top 10, 6-0. One of the problems with the Big Ten setup right now is it's still in division, so there are 3 Big 3 programs all in the same division, so they get to beat each other up. That will change once they increase their size exponentially. But in terms of this matchup, it's, which offense you're going to trust, which defense you're going to trust. This is going to be a hard-fought battle. Ohio State's shown tenacity, especially the game against Notre Dame. They came back to win that game. Penn State has not really had much of a challenge this season. Ohio State's already been tested. So this is going to be a true test to see where Penn State truly ranks with the top-tier teams in the country right now. Is it Aller or is it McCord? I mean, which quarterback can go with? It's Ohio State seems to have the flashiness like Harrison Jr. I mean, He's going to be the focal point of the Penn State's defense. But linebacker U is going to have to find ways to get back there to disrupt McCord, disrupt the timing, disrupt the running game for Ohio State. Ohio State's got to be tenacious on their defensive side as well to limit the effectiveness of the Penn State offense, which needs to be one of the top in the country. It's going to go back and forth. Right now, it's a 5-point spread by the time I'm recording this video and publishing the exact same day. No, I think it's going to be a lot closer. I would not surprised if this game goes to overtime. I'm surprised if it doesn't go to the 2-point shootout format. So I'm going to say it's a 2-point victory. I will give it to Ohio State in the close-fought battle, but I think it's going to be a coin toss. I can see Penn State going to Columbus and knocking off the Buckeyes. So we'll see how that kind of transpires and see how the rest of my week goes. And then we have Annapolis, Maryland, where the 3-3 Navy will play host to the 22nd ranked undefeated Air Force in a key Commanders-in-Chiefs Trophy matchup. Now remember, All Service Academy's battle for the Commanders-in-Chiefs Trophy, and this is the first game of that. If Air Force gets this win, they're one step closer to winning another trophy. Air Force has been pretty dominant. They handled a very tenacious defense last week in Wyoming that I thought would be getting a little more trouble than they did. But when service academics get together, it's really hard to really kind of see how this is going to play out because they play each other so well. Because it's very similar offenses, very similar defenses. It makes it more difficult. And it's just so many different ways that these academies can just hit you. And with that triple option offense, it's really hard to kind of defend. So I feel this is going to be a lot closer because it's just a huge rivalry between these two. Not as huge as Army-Navy. But Air Force right now is favored by 10. I don't want to agree with that one. Like I said, with Navy, it's going to be a lot closer than you really think. Navy plays really good defense. We'll see kind of Air Force kind of finagle this, but I have a feeling that Air Force is going to win. Maybe because I'm retired Air Force. I don't know. But I don't think it's going to be by 10. I think it's going to be a lot closer. Probably like a 3-point affair, but I will take the Falcons winning the first stage of the Commander-in-Chiefs Trophy tournament. We head back out to Eugene, Oregon, where 501 Ducks play host to the 4-2 Washington State Cougars. Washington State right now is on a 2-game losing streak. Can Ward rectify the ship in Eugene? No. I mean, Washington State should make it an interesting contest. I don't think it'll be a blowout like it's being portrayed right now. It's a 20-point advantage for Oregon. So I would definitely take Washington State for the points. I think Washington State is going to make this a lot closer, a lot like they did last year when these two faced off. Washington State took Oregon to the brink. I think Bo Nix should continue his stride to pat his Heisman Trophy stats. Irving should be a nice addition. I mean, 520 yards exactly so far this season, 6 games. You might want to see a little bit more action from him, but as long as Oregon try to balance the passing and running attack, 30-70 type of or 40-60 type of offensive spread, should keep Washington State honest from the defense and strike. Gives Oregon's defense a chance to really fly in and disrupt Ward and the rest of the Washington State team. I'm still picking Oregon. It's not going to be 20. At most, I would say 14. But that'd be because of a late surge in the later half of the third quarter and leading to the fourth will ensure that 14-point spread. But I think Washington State will make this a lot closer, but I'm still going with the Ducks. Then we head down to Tuscaloosa, where the 11th ranked Tide play host to 17th ranked Volunteers, who are 5-1. Huge matchup at SEC. Doesn't really have it has some implications of who's going to make it to the Atlanta for the SEC championship. If Tennessee loses another game in conference, that puts them way behind the Powerball, behind Georgia and Florida. On top of that, Alabama keeps the pace ahead of LSU, who continues to be the choice du jour right now to try to dethrone the Tide. Alabama has all of a sudden just found Milroe as their quarterback and have just flocked to him as pretty much their savior of the offense, and he's shown great strides. The Bama's defense has really stepped up and really identified themselves and really personified the Saban's team. I mean, it looks like he's back. It looks like things have been put in place quite well. Milton should have a difficult time. Right now, Alabama's right about 9.5. I want to say 7, because I think Tennessee should have some opportunities to disrupt Alabama's offense. And Tennessee should have some opportunities to make some key offensive gains in this historic rivalry between these two programs. But I think Alabama's going to be way too much for them. And I foresee them at least to win by 7. Then we up to Morgantown, where the 4-2 Mountaineers play host to the 4-2 Cowboys Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State coming off of their magnificent win against Kansas at home. West Virginia has quietly, steadily put themselves in a good key position. They had that nice win in TCU. Right now they're 2-1 in conference play, same as Oklahoma State. So win here puts them up, pretty much takes the other one pretty much out of contention for Arlington. You just start to worry about Texas and Oklahoma. So this is trying to, create a good pecking order, try to see who's going to be possibly, taking on Oklahoma, which seems to be the favorite. It could still be Texas. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here. But West Virginia has been extremely well. Like I said, Oklahoma's been battling back quite well. They're now winners 2 in a row. I'm not going to take anything away from the Cowboys. And right now, West Virginia's favored by 3.5. I like those odds. I really do. I think this will be really close, really slap knocker. I would not be surprised if Oklahoma State went into Morgantown and came away with the victory. But I think John Denver and Country Road will probably ensure that won't happen, and I'll give it to the Mountaineers. Next up, we head to Mac Nation to see the first appearance of a Mac all Mac crime in this year's pick and preview videos. And we head to Oxford, Ohio, where Miami University play host to Toledo. This is a possibility of a showdown you might see again in Detroit in the MAC championship game. You have the 6-1 Rockets taking on 6-1 Red Hawks, both undefeated in conference play. Right now, everything is pointing towards Toledo, with Gabbert leading the charge with over 1,400 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, and 4 picks. Boone has been a great boom for the Toledo rushing attack. Almost 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. So he's definitely averaging over 100 yards a game with a touchdown. Definitely something you want to emphasize. And they're also favored by 2.5. So everything points towards Toledo. This is the MAC. You can't go off of that alone. It's just one of these things that I've noticed with the MAC is they like to beat each other up quite well. They know each other quite well. They test each other weekly. Even the bottom of the barrel MAC program always finds ways to make the top program squirm a bit. But with this one, and being in Oxford, I'm going to go with the Red Hawks. I think, like I said, this is going to be a matchup I think we're going to see at the end of the year in Detroit. And this is going to be a preview, but I'm going to give Miami the edge in this first iteration, possibly. And give the MAC a solid team right now to kind of call us around to kind of go, hey, look at what they're doing. Next, we head out to Manhattan, Kansas, where the 4-2 Wildcats would host the 4-3 Horned Frogs of TCU. Both these programs only have 2 wins in conference play. TCU is at 2-2 right now. I think you pretty much eliminate them from the possible Arlington appearance in the Big 12 championship game. TCU is still loaded offensively. They're just one of these teams you have to look out for. Morris, over 1,500 yards. Bailey, over 750 yards rushing. Richardson, almost 400 yards receiving. These guys are just a focal point of the Horned Frog offensive powerhouse. K-State's no pushover either. Definitely got to find ways to kind of bounce back and get back in the swing of things. Right now, they only have one loss in conference play, so they need to get this win, especially when you have Oklahoma State and West Virginia battling earlier in that day to find out who also stays up there with Texas. And Texas also has a showdown later on, so they could drop. You never know. So they need to make sure they keep in pace with Oklahoma. And right now, Kansas State's favored by 6.5. Let's push back the narrative on that one. I'll drop it to like 3.5, but I will give it to K-State as well. I think there's just something about playing at home. Always give them a little edge. TCU doesn't look as dominant as they were last year when they made that playoff appearance. But I think it's just too much in the Wildcats to really overlook. Out to Vegas with a surprise 5-1 running Rebels. We play host to the 3-3 Colorado State Rams. And UNLV right now is a shocker out there in the Mountain West. It's at number 2 in the conference, right behind Air Force. So not many people probably saw them being in that position. Colorado State has a very well-balanced team. They just can't seem to close out games or their defense can't hold off offenses well enough. I mean, they took Colorado to the brink in their second game of the season, so they're definitely a team to kind of watch out for. Right now, UNLV is favored by 7.5. And I know that Fowler Nicolosi will definitely throw some interceptions because he has 11 already for Colorado State. So if he can minimize his mistakes, which is a big if, and they can control, every aspect of the UNLV offense. But Fowler and Horton's connection are definitely going to be a key factor in them. Horton's are almost at 700 yards in 6 games, so he's definitely a 100-yard, one touchdown type of receiver. But UNLV needs to try to minimize his effectiveness, maybe keep him out of the end zone. Just let them score or let them get right up the yards, but not the touchdowns. We'll see. Right now, the Rebs are favored by 7.5. This is going to be my upset pick. I'm taking Colorado State to win at UNLV. I'm not convinced yet about UNLV. I'll give them props where they're sitting at. But I've seen what Colorado State can do. I kind of watch a couple games of them. So I know what they're capable of. I'll just see if they can put it in practice with a team with a, so far, good record thus far this season. A huge top 25 showdown down there in Tallahassee. It's the number 4 Florida State to take on number 16 Duke. Duke has really became one of these surprise teams in the ACC. Has really become a football school, much like North Carolina. Both these programs are doing extremely well, with only one loss between them, and that's in the hands of Duke, when they barely lost to Notre Dame. So Duke has some credibility. Both are undefeated in ACC, so it's going to be a huge aspect to see who's going to take that lead in to try to land in Charlotte for their conference championship. Duke's defense is going to be tested a lot. Travis is going to test him a lot. Almost 1,500 yards passing, 13 touchdowns. He only has 1 pick. Benson has over 460 yards rushing in the 6 games, but does have 6 touchdowns, so he's due for a touchdown a game. He does get a lot of rushing attempts, but he does at least score 1 rushing touchdown. Duke's defense should disrupt Travis. They should make this a game. Right now, Florida State's favored by 14.5. I think that's a slap in the face to Duke. I think that is bulletin board material. They're going to utilize that as they don't think they have a chance to win in Tallahassee. I think Duke is going to take it to Florida State. I think they're going to make it a lot closer. However, they're going to fall short. I am still taking the Seminoles to win at home, but it's definitely going to be a lot closer than 14.5. Probably a 6-point affair, but I'll give the Florida State the edge out and probably solidify their case to be sitting on top of the polls coming up, especially when you get the college football poll coming out on Halloween. Scary. To LA, where the 18th ranked Trojans, after their demolishing by the Irish, will play host to the 14th ranked Utah Utes. Now, USC is undefeated in Pac-12 play. Utah is 2-1, and they're part of a huge bottleneck of teams in that position. Can USC recover from that aspect? Utah has a defense as well. They play teams extremely tight. Their defense was the reason why they won the game against UCLA. Their defense keeps them in games, helps them set up the offense. Look what they did in Waco and Baylor in their comeback win. So it's the Utah defense that's going to test USC once again. USC is going to have issues with Utah once again. I don't think USC can afford to lose this game. This is a must-win for them, because once they lose that, they probably about lose their ability to get into the playoff, because they don't lose to two top 25 teams. And that pretty much should take them out. Caleb Williams is over 2,000 yards passing. Phenomenal player, but he looked so out of place against the Irish. If Utah can mimic what the Notre Dame did while still maintaining their ability to attack offensively, even though conservatively how their offense is, because USC's defense got shredded by Notre Dame. And right now, USC is favored by 7. And if you kind of hear how I'm leaning, I'm picking Utah to win against USC once again. And something about USC right now, nothing is certain for them right now. You know, there's a lot of hype of them, and all that's well founded. But it's showing the vulnerability. Can that be exploited, and can they fix it? That's going to be a key thing. Can the Trojans fix the problems they had in South Bend and come home and knock off a very tenacious Utah team? That's going to be a key thing. I don't think they can. I think Utah will edge them out, but USC is going to be a very, very close game and a very fun game to watch between these two. Then we head down to South Beach, where the U would play host to Clemson. Both programs are 4-2. Both programs have 2 losses in ACC play. Miami is yet to get a victory so far in conference play. I had more faith in Miami last week in North Carolina, and that kind of fell through because I was looking at what they did against A&M, figured they can do that against UNC. Didn't develop. Miami's trying to rebound from their fiasco against Georgia Tech. It looks like they're still trying to recover from that. Clemson's trying to get back into the top tier of the ACC with 2 losses. It's going to be a struggle for them. They can still make it, but Duke, North Carolina looks poised to have a showdown. But there could be a couple other strange bedfellows to go up there as well. I think Clemson wants to make sure they are getting there, because you saw Florida State. I mean, there's a few teams that are battling for those spots in Charlotte. But this one, I think Van Dyke really needs to, and this offense really needs this type of game to kind of reestablish themselves. Van Dyke's over 1,700 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So you can guarantee he's going to throw a pick. You can also guarantee he's going to throw 4 touchdowns. It's ridiculous what this offense is capable of. The problem is, can they do it? At Clemson's no pushover. Defense will definitely make it very difficult for Van Dyke. I think Miami's defense should make it difficult for Clemson as well. Clemson has their powerhouses. Right now, Clemson's favored by 3. I give it to Miami only because they're at home. If this was in Death Valley or at Clemson, I would pick the Tigers for that game. But I think Miami needs to stop the 2-game slide, because that's what they're on right now. And winning against Miami should give them the spark to continue the rest of the season, try to make some noise in ACC play. And we're going to finish things out in the Sun Belt. We'll head back out to Lafayette, Louisiana, where the Raging Cajuns, one of the greatest names for college sports, will play host to the 5-1 Georgia State Panthers. Now, Georgia State did a phenomenal thing in knocking off Marshall not too long ago. Pretty much put themselves in the upper echelon right now in the Sun Belt East. Louisiana, I thought was kind of dead in the water because I picked against them when they hosted Texas State, who I thought was going to be the new favorite out there in the West. Louisiana's like, all country up there. And they took it to the Bobcats then. I'm not going to overlook the Cajuns, even though all the stars seem to be with Georgia State. Granger over 1,400 yards passing. Carroll almost 750 yards rushing with 10 touchdowns. So if Louisiana can stop the running attack by the Panthers, this should help them a lot because Granger is an effective passer, but doesn't throw a lot of touchdowns. He knows how to set up everything and take advantage of play action and the defense coming in to stop the run when he can get in, pretty much throw over their heads. I think Louisiana can do it. They're playing at home. I mean, they already had one test already at home with Texas State. Nothing's really telling me that they can't do it again at home against Georgia State. This will definitely get them back into the upper echelon in Sun Belt West. You kind of see how things going. And Cajuns are favored by 3.5. I like it. I'm going there as well. And there you go. Those are my 12 picks. Interesting games. Like I said, first time going into the MAC Nation. I'm going back out to the Sun Belt. Got some Mountain West games. So trying to get some love for some of the group of 5 games, especially when they have some marquee matchups within their conference. Couple other notes out there. James Madison once again tried to get a waiver for them because they're on their second year of transitioning up into the FBS, so they're not eligible for the postseason. And right now they're undefeated, running amok in the Sun Belt. Another year of another great football by the Monarchs, and they were denied. So I guess it's not having. They may have made the jump when they were bad, but then no one's going to take them because they were bad. But I don't know. It's just one of these things that these players, they're going to pour their heart and soul out and graduate and not have postseason play. I think that sucks for them, but understand the reasoning for the transition. Watch everyone will do it. So you go up, you have to wait. You go down, you're automatically in. So I understand that aspect, but it sucks nevertheless. Maybe they should drop it down to maybe 1 year. If you move up to from the FBS to the FCS, because you're a Division I program. So why have that that delay factor? I mean, that's something NCAA can look at the next year, but that's that. And Michigan's in the news once again. Possibly another scandal for sign stealing. That's the whole purpose of doing that, where you're playing the game. You're looking at the other team, looking at their signs, trying to decipher the signs and come up with what they're doing. That way you know exactly what they're doing. It happens in all the sports. You look at the signs and try to figure out, hey, what they're trying to figure out. Like I said, those are my picks. Those are my 12 games. Definitely some new teams being brought in here, some new faces. Definitely trying to freshen some things up. Like I said, these are 12 games I find interesting this week. There's always other games that always peak interest on the national radar, especially when you have upsets like you did last week with Stanford come from behind victory. I mean, they were being shut out and they came from behind and beat Colorado in overtime, and Dion was not happy time. But which game are you looking forward to this week? Which pick do you think I got wrong? Let me know down in the comments below. Once you're down and hit that thumbs up, especially the content provider really pleases YouTube guys. It really helps the algorithm out, really promotes this video. You also subscribe. Over 90% of you are not subscribed. Why not? It doesn't cost you a dime. And you listen to some old man ramble on about football. What more else can you ask for? You just hit that subscribe button, click the bell icon, turn on notifications until next time I post any more content on my channel. And I'll see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.